Hey everyone, I'm Soorya Ramesh.
And I'm Ravi, and you're listening to Two Brown Accents. Today we're going to be talking about making friends.
And before we get started on that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ding!
So this is actually the second time we're talking about making friends. The first time
We never really published that episode.
we never published it. This is the first episode we ever recorded. If you notice, like in our history, you can see number one podcast was never
Never public. And
the reason for that is because it went on way too long.
and it was really bad. I just kept saying yeah the entire time. You guys won't like it. We didn't like. I couldn't listen to the entire podcast once.
Yeah, I mean it's super long. Like I think it was almost 2 hours long,
and I felt like I couldn't stop hearing my voice. It's just we. So yeah, maybe one day we will publish that episode, just so you guys can mock us, make fun of us, whatever our first episode. But yeah, this is about making friends number 2,
but within 10 minutes.
within 10 minutes. Yeah, the shorter version.
Let's get started.
Let's get started.
So, do you think you can have multiple best friends?
Ooh, we start at that's a great question. Best stands
Don't
for
be politically correct, Soorya.
I know. Best,
Don't give me a diplomatic answer.
okay, I won't. Best stands for one best friend, right? Like you're supposed to have one, but
It's a superlative.
yeah. But I feel like I've always had multiple best friends.
This is a cop out.
Um, it's just that
You're the type of person who's gonna have multiple best men at his wedding.
there's potential.
Yeah.
John really wants to be the single best man in my wedding. I
It's
don't.
a superlative. You only supposed to have one.
I feel like I should shoot the question back at you, but I do think that I've always had multiple best friends. It's just you know what do you say? Certain people I just connect with better in certain things, and I don't know if I should. Like a partner is different, but I don't know with friends. It's okay to get multiple opinions or just hang out with different people at different things. Something like that. I've always had multiple best friends, and I think it's okay to have multiple best friends. I think. That's pretty much it. I feel we should go into specifics more. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, but I'm panicking.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? I'm just.
Oh, I'm gonna be brutally honest. Like, you can only have one best friend at a time. It's a superlative for a reason, right?
Okay.
You can just say, I don't have any best friends. I have multiple great friends. That's a better
Sure.
answer.
Sure.
But so that, like, I don't believe in having multiple best friends. It doesn't make any sense. It's an oxymoron. That's what it is.
That's valid. That's valid. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could go like, I don't have a best friend. I have multiple great friends, but I
Yes.
feel like it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's not in. Yeah.
We'll agree to disagree. We'll move
Fine.
on.
Yeah. Okay. Let me shoot you my question. What do you do when things go wrong in a friendship? Does it? How do you handle it? Do you think after things? Do you think your friendship becomes stronger or weaker? Yeah. What's like? Have you lost friendships because of certain incidents, or like how do you handle things in general?
So, I think first of all, it depends on what we disagree on and what type of friend they are. Generally, I think that friendships or relationships matter more than whatever you're fighting about or disagreeing on. There are cases where I made a mistake. Like, for example, we played a board game or some card game, and then I intentionally targeted you, even though I was going to lose anyway. I knew you were going to win, so I targeted you, and you got pretty upset at me.
Oh yeah, I remember that day. I held that grudge for a month and a half.
You did.
You knew we were not gonna. We weren't gonna lose our friendship. Like
No,
it was
but-
never that.
but
But I
things were-
definitely held it against.
Yeah, I was walking on eggshells for a while then.
I love that phase. You should do it again.
No. I realized that you take these games pretty seriously, so I'm not going to do that again. But yeah, so like what those situations where I do make a mistake, I do try to make an effort to like remedy it somehow. And yeah, like I generally don't think like a lot of things should like friendships shouldn't be affected by a lot of minor things like that, right?
Mhm.
But there are cases where I think
Your ideals or
exactly, right? Like maybe if we disagree on something like that fundamental, I can't think of any particular instance
Sure.
in my head because I don't think it I can remember any time that
That's
happened
fine.
to me.
Nor do we want to start a fight now, do we?
Fair enough. But I do think that friendships do get stronger after that, right?
Yeah.
If you can go,
If you can cross that bridge,
Yeah.
it gets stronger.
exactly.
There's definitely times when you are unable to, or sometimes things just drift apart, and it's okay. Yeah. Okay.
But speaking of drifting apart, if you're the one who always initiates a conversation, do you still consider them a friend?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I feel when I'm trying to make a friend or when I'm meeting somebody new, it's okay. I'll initiate a few times, right? But the more no's you hear, regardless of whether they're genuinely busy, right? If I say, "Hey, John, do you want to hang out?" and this is the first time we met, and you say, "Oh no, I'm not able. Oh no, I can't hang out." That's more like you're not interested in hanging out with me. Versus if you did want to hang out, the least you would do is if you said yes, that's great, right? We'd hang out, we'd be friends. The more yeses you hear, the more closer you are. It means they like you too. They would also probably initiate that kind of stuff. Even if they didn't initiate, I think it's okay as long as they say yes every time you ask them out or you say something. Versus if they were saying no, the least they could do is say, "Hey, no, I can't hang out with you this time, but why don't we hang out another day?" And that means, they're at least giving it a shot. They hang out with you a few times. But I think it has to do with if you're initiating all the time. There are certain people, I guess, who don't really initiate. You meet them in a group setting, that kind of stuff. But I think it has to do with no's more. If they just keep saying no to you twice or thrice, I feel like I wouldn't text them or ask to hang out with them anymore after that, anyways. So yeah, I want to say if you initiate the conversation with somebody all the time, for the most part, you're definitely on the negative side of things. It's not the best, but also if you hear no's, it means you guys are not going to be friends. That means you are putting in all the effort. They're not putting in any effort, and it's not going anywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have the bad habit of, I don't know if it's a bad habit, but just the tendency of not keeping up with old friends once I move on. Like, for example, moved to California, right? All my old friends that are like in a different place, I don't usually talk to them often, right? Like maybe I'll wish them on like certain occasions, like Merry Christmas, but I don't randomly think about them and like text. I do randomly think about them, but I don't want like just text them, which I have been trying to work on more to like keep in touch with them because I still consider them my friends.
Right.
But it doesn't mean like I feel like for me, there's like I don't need to be talking to them all the time to still stay like close with them, you know?
Yeah, and I think that is the case, right? Because you're not hanging out with them every day anymore, and over the course of time, the lesser you talk with them, honestly, you need to introduce your current friends or your current life before you can tell them what's happening or ask them for advice, which adds a significant amount of headroom. But I do think it's great. Like not everybody's still your friend because they hung out with you for so many years or so long. And when you meet them, it's always nice to talk about the nostalgic things, or it's always nice to tell them, "Hey, this is what's happening in my life right now." When you meet them face to face, or every rarely get on a call when you find some time. Hopefully, they're free too. And I think that's great. Yeah, I had one more question for you. What are your thoughts on being friends with colleagues or teaching assistants or any professionals, like somebody who works, somebody who's your superior, or anybody, right? Anybody at a professional level. What are your thoughts on being friends with them? Do you think that gives you a lot to learn, or do you think that might be too much drama and it's bad?
Look, I think I'll start by saying I understand the risks of having friends at work, or maybe let's say like only having friends at work, because you could get fired, or they could get fired, or something happens where you're reorged and like you don't get to see them all the time. So like you don't want your only friends to be at work, but personally, I've always enjoyed getting to know the people I work closely with, and I enjoy working closely with people I like. So I really enjoy being close friends with like some of my closest friends actually are people who were teaching assistants, my teaching assistant,
Right.
or professors I had.
I lost one of my teaching assistants out, but moving on.
Okay, now I'm not that close with my teaching assistants, but like I mean, I will ask my professors for life advice, right? Because if I'm going to trust you with academics too or career advice, I'm going to also trust you with like other stuff because I want to.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I want to emulate certain aspects of their success in my life too.
Right. Right.
So I do try to be friends, maybe closer friends with like people I work with too. But I do understand and caution against having only friends that are tied with your job, for example.
Yeah.
Right? You should definitely have a friend group that's outside of your work in case that, like, let's say you do get laid off or something for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You don't,
and then suddenly you lose not just your work life, but also your personal life
exactly.
for the most, because you used to hang out with them at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think something similar. I think it's completely okay to have friends at work, and I think it's great, and I have a lot of friends at work, but they're definitely not my only friends, and
That's good.
yeah, and I don't think it's wrong to approach them. Yeah, it's scary that like they know about your personal life, or there could be a little bit drama, but for the most part, I've been working so long, and all my colleagues are great, and I love them, and they're the best. I've never had any issues.
Yeah.
It's great being friends with all of them. So yeah,
That's good. Well, that ends our podcast for today. Be sure to email us at twobrownaccidents@gmail.com if you have any future podcast ideas.
and that should be all from us.
Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye bye.